Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we thought we would do a review on the new Envoy lathe that I bought. I purchased this last year and it was just delivered this year because of COVID. It took about a year to get to me. It's a Record Coronet Envoy lathe. I purchased it from Stockroom Supply. And we picked it up about a month and a half ago, I guess. It's been, I've been using it for the last month and a half and I'm really pleased with it. So we thought we would do a little bit of a review on it. The lathe came in a crate, so we loaded the crate onto the truck and brought it home. My granddaughter and I carried it down the basement and put it all together. Yeah, it comes with a 1.5 kilowatt motor, which ends up being, at the spindle here, it's 1.5 horsepower. It's 24 inches between centers. It's got a 16 inches to the bed. There's 3.5 inches of travel on the quill. The lathe itself comes with a faceplate, the wrenches that attach the faceplate, take the faceplate off. Another wrench to take the chuck off. It comes with this, the spur center. And yeah, the various Allen keys that you need to maintain the lathe. It does not come with a chuck. You have to buy the chuck separately. So the lathe itself was $2,600, around $2,600. By the time I bought the chuck, and I bought the outrigger that comes with this lathe, and I'll tell you about it in a few minutes. But yeah, everything altogether was about $3,000. So yeah, I thought it was a very good deal for what you're getting for the lathe. You can see the lathe is very well built. Very, very well built. So yeah, then I bought the chuck. It's a record chuck, Record Power chuck. It's a SC4 professional gear chuck. And it comes with comes with the jaws, these jaws. It comes with this plate, which is great because you can fasten this to a bowl or whatever you're turning, and it hooks right onto the chuck. So yeah, it's a great feature. And then the only other thing I purchased was a spur center to go in my chuck, so I don't have to remove my chuck every time I want to turn in between centers. So that's about it for that. Now the features of the Envoy lathe are: for one thing, everything slides easy. The quill is amazing. As you can see, it's got 3.5 inches of travel. It's great for drilling out your hollow forms, or yeah, it works really well, really well. The lathe comes with a faceplate that goes on. It's 1.25 inches by 8 spindle threads, and this head slides along the lathe. Not only does it slide along the lathe, but you can turn it all the way around if you'd like, which is a great feature. It has a built-in spindle lock right here. It just flips, locks in, positive lock. It around. It's just spring-loaded. If you can see that, yeah. It's got 3 belt drives. You can just open this door. You can see the 3 belt drives here. You can just loosen off a lever, lift the motor, and adjust your speeds. And tells you here, number 1 is 250 to 750. The second belt, which I use most of the time, is 550 to 1650, and the next pulley is 1300 to 3800 RPM. I usually leave it on the second pulley for most of the work that I do. One feature about this is if the lathe will not start with this open. You cannot start the lathe with this open. It's got a safety switch, so this has to be closed and tightened down for you to be able to start the lathe. This fits nice and tight. It keeps all the dirt out of your pulleys. All the dust and crap stays out. So, and then it also has a panel that you can move along the lathe and put it anywhere you want. It's magnetic. It'll sit wherever you want it to sit. You can position it anywhere along the lathe. It has start button, forward and reverse button, your on and off button, and your speed control. So runs very, very quiet. As you can see, that's at 470 RPM. And there she's going now. It's up to 1,000. $17.50. Very quiet. Power off. Another feature of this lathe is, I'll just put this faceplate on and you'll notice this. When you start this lathe up, it's set at 1700 right now. It does not start at 1700. It builds up its speed. So if you have something that's very unbalanced on there, you have a chance to stop it before it gets up to speed. Now, some people may find this annoying because they don't get up to speed right away, but it takes seconds for it to build up to the speed you want it. Yeah, so that's a great feature. This moves along. And I bought, not that I'm going to use this, but I bought the outrigger on this lathe. And this was a $250 option on the lathe. It hooks to the end of the lathe. So when you turn this head 180 degrees, or 90 degrees, I guess that would be 90 degrees, sorry. You can turn on the outside. So the capacity of this lathe, according to the specs, is 39 inches on the outboard here. So this outrigger fastens to the end of the lathe. It has a flange that it fits over, and it can swing around to turn outboard on this lathe. So you can turn, you can see that you can turn a massive bowl on this lathe. The outrigger moves in and out. Your switch can be anywhere you want it to be. It could be right here if you felt like you wanted it to be there, just so it's closer to you. The biggest thing I've turned on this lathe is a mirror frame, which was 26 inches. And I'm just going to take a second and I'm going to mount the plate. I will show you how this works. Now, when I did my frame, I had my frame mounted onto this disc. And then this disc I mounted onto the chuck. Like so. This has a bit of a dovetail on it. So as you can see, that's 26 inches this piece of wood here. Very quiet. No problem turning. Takes a little bit for that big of a piece to slow down, but there you go. Now the largest bowl I've turned on this is a 17-inch bowl, which is just a little bit over the capacity of over the bed, but it was a fairly hefty chunk of wood. I think it weighed 48 pounds, and the lathe had no problem with the piece of wood, the weight. I'm sure you'd want to make sure it's fairly balanced. You can see how sturdy this is. Like, it'll hold my weight, no problem. The main control box is mounted to the frame here, so there's an on and off switch here, so if I just leave it on most of the time because I'm the only one down here. But if you had kids, or you know, if this was in a shop, you could turn it on and off right here, and then nobody can fart around with the switch and turn the lathe on accidentally. Another feature that, well, it didn't come with the lathe, but what I did was, on this lathe, let me take, well, I can show you right here. The other lathe I had a vacuum chuck on it, and what it was a bearing, and I've put a tube through, and it actually fit right on this one too, so it just slid into the handle on the back of the spindle, and I just put my vacuum pump, which is sitting over there, on, and it works very well. I'm very pleased with the lathe. It's got lots of power for what I do. It's quiet. It doesn't vibrate around on me. It's got adjustable feet. I don't think I mentioned it has adjustable rubber feet. I have it on a concrete floor here. I leveled it out when I first purchased it. And yeah, you can see the feet are very, very substantial. And like I said, I'm very, very pleased with the lathe. It's replacing a smaller General International lathe. And yeah, I'm very pleased with it. It's everything I expected and more. So, yep. I gotta thank the guys at Stockroom Supply and Record Power. You've really outdone yourself with this lathe. I really like it. Okay, that's it, I think. I'm sure you'll see me turning on it in my next video. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks very much.